Folding phones are great, but not all of them. In the past couple of years, there has been a massive jump in advancements for folding phones, but also other categories when it comes to phones, like phones with tiny form factors or with physical keyboards. Also, we saw these keyboard phones fail multiple times, so please stop making them. Touch keyboards are fine, but what is not fine is a fucking flip phone. No, I'm not talking about the fold phones that fold into a big tablet when you want to scroll Instagram on one side and have gay porn on the other. I'm talking about the ones that flip into a fucking coaster. Like, do you really want to feel a small, flat, square shape when you reach for your phone into your pockets? No. No, you don't. You want to feel something that's at least 5 or 6 inches. So what's the deal with flip phones? And who's buying them? Back when companies had to stop making small phones, it was because not a lot of people were buying them. So if the market's already so volatile towards something as cool as small phones, then why the fuck are flip phones still around? See, in 2024, I can't even imagine a brand new company tapping into the smartphone market without having some kind of kinky features that, at its core, is only just a gimmick. Back when Nothing launched their first ever phone, it was a big deal. But it was kind of deserved because their whole kink was that you could get a pretty decent phone for less than half the price of an iPhone. But it's not like there weren't any other good Android phones in that price range at the time of its launch, and Nothing knew that the only way to get ahead of the whole Android competition is to not compete with them at all. So they went directly against Apple. Oh, and I almost forgot the glyphs. Nothing phone's glyphs were fine. They weren't the biggest selling point of the phone, but it did help the actual hardware stand out quite a bit. And it worked. Not only were they able to deliver on their promise of a good Android phone, but they also were able to stand out by simply comparing themselves to Apple and not the hundreds of other similar Android companies. And that's just one case of a company trying something new to get into the smartphone market. But the situation for the already established brands is also not all sunshine and rainbows. Look around you and there's like hundreds of phones coming out every year that look the same, behave the same, have a 1 billion megapixel camera and a 600 hertz refresh rate screen. And there have been hundreds of other phones that have tried to be unique but again, rely too much on that one gimmick, like a curved screen for a phone that is about as tall as a pocket notebook, or the Samsung Beam with its exposed G-spot that also acts as a projector, which is only useful in the pitch dark because of its 15 lumen output, and the fact that its maximum picture range is only 2 meters. But hey, it was a first-gen product and a not-so-bad concept. At least it would prevent you from using your phone while watching a movie for the first 30 minutes because that's how long the battery lasts. Or the Samsung Edge, which at the time looked super cool and actually was a pretty good phone, but why would you ever need a phone that has a curved edge screen unless you want to make holding the phone itself very uncomfortable? So the thing with phones that rely too much on that one gimmick is that they either die out right after launch, which is at the peak of their popularity and when people realize that the actual phone kind of sucks, or they die out quietly when everyone's forgotten about them, or they just kind of linger around and get a refresh every now and then. But the folding phones are different. They're more than just a gimmick, because making a screen that you can fold in half is not easy, and it's also a phone that comes with a lot of other pros. Fold phones definitely deserve the love they are getting, but there's one category in the fold phone market that I just don't get the hype behind. The flip phones are weird. And it's not just from a hardware perspective, but also in terms of software. Hardware-wise, I just don't get why you would want to have a really expensive phone that doesn't really provide any real benefit with its form factor. Every ad that I see for a flip phone never shows any good use. Like, yeah, you can take selfies with the main camera because it can flip. Sure, you can prop your phone up anywhere without a stand because it can flip. Sure, it can finally fit into women's pockets because it can flip into a tiny fucking coaster. But are these features really good enough to be worth $1,000? That is not even a bad pricing, considering if you're looking to get a folding phone, you have to spend $1,000 no matter what. Anything lower, and we're looking at bad hinge designs, screen problems, and generally a bad performing phone. Right now in the market, we have 2 types of folding phones. There is the tablet ones that start at a normal form factor and fold outwards into a big tablet. And then there are the ones that start at a smaller form factor and fold outwards into a normal sized phone. And trust me, it's not the other way around, since once you start using a flip phone, you're always going to have it close in your pocket. So by default, you're going to start at a smaller form factor, and then when you feel like the task at hand needs a bigger screen, you flip it up and use it like a normal phone. But here's the problem. If you were to take all the tasks that would be better and more convenient on a screen that is different from the regular sized phone, it's almost always a bigger screen. Don't get me wrong though, the tiny screen on a flip phone is still somewhat useful for things such as managing notifications or doing quick calculations or using it as a selfie screen. But Other than using it as a camera, everything else is just equally, if not more convenient on a normal sized phone. See, on one hand, we have tasks that are more convenient when done on a bigger screen, like watching a video, making notes, or editing photos, and having the option of a bigger screen is great. And on the other hand, we have tasks that are fine on a normal sized phone, but now you can do them on a smaller screen and save time and stop yourself from doom scrolling when you only want to take a look at the notifications. And a fold phone would still have all these hardware features that a flip phone has, other than its tiny form factor. Like, you can still use the fold as a stand for your photos and videos, you can still use the secondary screen to clear up notifications and do simple tasks, and there are still many problems with the flip phone, like communication. The screen isn't big enough to reply to messages quickly or just chat with someone. Hanging up on someone by just flipping the phone might be fun, but to pick up a call by having to flip it open every time, unless you want to talk on the speakers, which, come on, nobody wants to do that. Obviously, these problems will be fixed with newer iterations and they'll get more polished, but at the end of the day, are you really wrong for simply wanting to spend $1,000 to experience something that reminds you of the good old days when the ocean still had more plastic than your average celebrity? Yes. Yes, you are. And am I just saying yes because I'm still mad at the fact that companies stopped making small phones due to the lack of sales, and the fact that these stupid flip phones are selling more? It's kind of making me more mad? Maybe.